Good morning, girls.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Okay, let us start off with the lab session. So, in the previous class, we have looked into the first four experiments, and today's class will go on with the next experiment, which is the fifth experiment. So, what is the fifth experiment? It is write a program to demonstrate working with tuples in Python. So, we just need to use all the operations that are possible on tuples in this particular experiment. Okay. So straight away, let us get into the shell prompt or the chevron prompt. So I'm typing in Python 3. So I got into the prompt. I hope everybody can see the screen, the terminal.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So first thing I'm doing is I am creating an empty tuple. So tuples are represented with parentheses like this. So I said T is equal to some empty parentheses. I didn't give any elements inside these parentheses. Okay, so you can just create an empty tuple like this. When you just print it, you'll be just having two parentheses, empty parentheses without any elements in it. Okay, so this is how you create an empty tuple. Now we'll start adding some elements into the tuple. So I created a tuple like this. So you can create, you can have mixed values also. So as of now, I'm just creating a tuple with strings in it. So I'm saying Sudha and Python. So these two are the elements inside the tuple. So I'm printing tuple. So you can see that Sudha and Python are printed. So this is tuple of string. Okay. So in the similar way, I can also have a list. For example, I'm saying L is equal to, so 1, 2, 3. And I want to convert this list into tuple. It is possible with the tuple method. So I can just take this tuple and pass this L into it. So the list will be converted into tuple now. So L is a list, and I just have converted this list into a tuple by passing it into this particular tuple method. So in the similar way, I can also use the tuple to create a tuple. For example, I'm saying T is equal to, so I said tuple, and then I'm passing Sudha into it. So you can see that S will be separated, U will be separated, D will be separated, and the elements will be created. So when I print it, so you can see that I have created a tuple here with each and every letter being an element into the tuple. Okay, so this entirely is a string, but I'm separating it and I'm making it a tuple with this particular tuple method. Okay, so when I pass a string, what happens is it will separate each and every letter from the string, and everything will become one element into the tuple. Okay, so this is also possible in Python. Okay, so there is a built-in function which is called as tuple. By using this tuple, you can actually create a tuple like this. In the similar way, I can also create a tuple with mixed data types. So I can have integers, I can have, so I'm taking an integer here, and I'm taking a floating value here, and then I'm taking a string. Okay, so mixed kind of data is also possible. So when I print, I'll be getting something like this. Okay, right. So I can access the elements of the tuple by using a for loop. So let me show you how to use the for loop to access the elements. So we have T, right? Or what are the elements inside T? So I have 1, 20.6 and Sudha. So there are 3 elements inside the tuple, and I can use the for loop to actually access each and every element in the tuple. So I'm taking an iterative variable which is I. So I said for I in tuple, which is T, so a colon. So I'm giving an indentation over here and write a print statement. And inside the print statement, I'm saying I can simply say I. So you can see that I got an output wherein each and every individual element from the tuple is accessed. Okay, so first it will take the first element for the tuple, which is 1 is printed, and then it is taking 20.6 is printed, and then Sudha is printed. Okay, so this is how I can access the elements of a tuple by using the for loop. Okay, right. And Next one is we'll be looking into how to nest tuples or how to combine tuples. So let me take one a tuple which is T1 is equal to, so I am saying 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I'll take another tuple which is T2. Then I'll say I'll have 7, 8 and 9 in it, and also you can have some string also. Okay, so it's not a problem. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking another tuple T3, and into this T3. Okay, so into this T3 I am actually passing the two tuples. Okay, so I can say T1 comma T2. So it combines these two tuples and creates a new tuple. Okay, so you can see this over here. So initially I have taken 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first tuple, and the first and the second tuples will be as they are. Okay, so there will be no change in the two tuples, but I can create a new tuple which is T3 or whatever it is, any of your valid identifier, by putting the two tuples or three tuples or four tuples, whatever it is, you can put it separated by comma here. So the elements inside the tuple 1 will become the first element in the newly created tuple. So you can see this entire thing is one element, and this entire thing is the next element. Okay, so each and every tuple that we are mentioning becomes one element inside the newly created tuple. So this is another way of creating a tuple. And let us see how to create a tuple with the repetition. So I can say T is equal to, I'll be putting a string. Okay, Sudha is here, and then I'll be using the repetition operation, which is star, and then the count of repetition. So I just wanted to repeat it 4 times. So I'm saying into 4. So now when you can see the elements inside the tuple, you can see that Sudha, 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 and Sudha 4 times it's there inside the tuple. So this is how you create. And if you want to count the number of occurrences of Sudha, you can use the count operation. So wherein this is on tuple T1, so T1 dot count, and then what do you want to count? So that string you will be mentioning here. So it's saying that there are 4 Sudhas over there. Okay, right. And the next one is you can access the elements of a tuple with the index number. So I can say T of 0. Okay, so it will show me that it is S. Okay, right. And then I'm saying T of 1. Okay, so you can see U and all that comes over here. Okay, so you can access the elements of the tuple with the index number. In the similar way, you can unpack the values of the tuple. So I'm taking a tuple over here, which is 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so now I'll be unpacking the elements of the tuple into variables. So I can say ABC is equal to T. Okay, so now what happens is if you want to see the value of A, you can see that it is 1, value of B is 2, and value of C is 3. Okay, so wherein you can see that the tuples are unpacked. Okay, so the elements of the tuple are unpacked. If in your examination you may be getting any of these operations in combination. Okay, right. You may not get all the operations, but certain operations you will be getting in combination. Okay, right. So this is regarding unpacking of the tuple elements. You can use the del operation to delete the tuple. So I can say del t, the object is deleted. Now if you try to access the tuple, so you'll be getting an error saying that t is not defined. Okay, so you'll get a name error. In the similar way, I can also do the concatenation of tuples. So let me show you how to do the concatenation of tuples. Okay, so I have taken T1 is equal to 1, 2 and 3. Okay, fine. So before that, let me do a operation of max operation. So I can say max of T1. So it'll be giving the maximum element in the tuple. Also in the similar way, I can also use min operation, which will be giving the minimum element in the tuple. Okay, right. So this is my first tuple. So I'm taking another tuple, which is T2. So T2 is having strings in it. So I'm saying it has Sudha, and then it has Python in it. So these are the two tuples, and I can actually use the plus operator to create a new tuple. Okay, so I can say T1 and then a plus and then a T2. So when I print T3, you can see that the two tuples are concatenated one after the other. I said T1 plus T2, right? So for T1, T2 is appended. In the similar way, if I just say T2 and then followed by T1. Okay, so you can see T2 comes first and T2 comes first and then T1. Okay, right. Look into the concept of this concatenation, where individually T1 and T2 are not altered. Okay, only the thing is like we are concatenating it and putting it in a new tuple. Okay, right. So this is regarding concatenation of the tuples. And let us see now how to slice tuple. So we have this slice operation, which will be having three attributes. The first one is the first starting index, and then the end index, and then followed by the number of steps that you want to skip for the next element. Okay, so we'll try to do that. So I have an tuple. I'm creating a tuple like this. So I'll say I'll take Sudha in it. Okay. When I print T1, it will be something like this. Okay. So now I'll try to access the tuple, slice the tuple. So I'm saying T1. Um, so 2 is 2. Okay. So what happens is, you know that indexing always starts with a 0. So this is 0, 1. So from 2, the rest of the elements will be sliced up. Okay. Right. If you see T1 will be as it is. I was telling this also yesterday. So make sure that you're following all this. Okay, so this is how you slice it up. You can also explore the combinations. Okay, so you can also mention the end index, the start index, and the end index, and the steps and all that. So that is how you do the slicing operation. Okay, right. In the similar way, you can also do the reversing of the tuple. So how do you do the reverse of the tuple? So I said T1 and then followed by, I'm saying -1. Okay, so what happens? The tuple will be printed in reverse thing. Okay, so when you print the tuple is as it is. I just want the elements to be printed in the reverse order. So I'm doing that. Original tuple is as it is. Okay, so just try to understand the difference. Okay, the original tuple is not altered. Okay, you can also print the tuple in terms of a range. Okay, so for example, 2 is to some 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So I'm saying 1 is 2. So this is what is called as printing it in terms of a range. So you can see that I am specifying the range. Okay. If I simply leave it off, it will take the end index to be the last element. If I'm giving the end index, then it will count to the before element of the ending index. So I have mentioned 4. So it will take till 3. Okay. So that's it. This is all your experiment, fourth experiment. A fifth experiment, which is demonstrating the operations of a tuple. Is it clear, ma? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and now let us move on to the next experiment. Your next experiment is the dictionaries concept. So write a program to demonstrate working with dictionaries in Python. So let us get started. Okay, fine. So I'm saying I'll take an editor. Okay, gedit. Okay, so I just have taken the file. with name di and extension .py. So I can create a dictionary by simply putting curly braces like this. This will create an empty dictionary, and if you print it, an empty dictionary will be printed on the screen. Okay, so this is your empty dictionary. Okay, well, fine. And then I can also create by using the dict method. So I can say d is equal to, so there is a method which is called as the dict method. By using the dict method, you can create a dictionary. So I'm saying it, you know that dictionary is a key value pair. So you just need to associate a key and a value. It can be of any data type. Okay, so the key and the value can be of any data type. So I am saying 1 and 2 is then I say Python. Okay, right. So this is how I created a dictionary by using the dict method. Uh, okay, I'm printing D over here. Okay, fine. And so you can create a dictionary by giving an key and a value pair also inside your dictionary, inside your dict method. So that method is, so I'm saying dict, and I'm using a parenthesis over here, and then a square bracket and a parenthesis, wherein inside this parenthesis I will be giving the key and a value pair. Okay, so 1 comma, and then I say Sudha. Okay, right. So this is my first key value pair, and after this parenthesis I put a comma and give another parenthesis. Inside this I'll be giving my next a pair of key value pair. Okay, so I'm saying to CSE. So close it accordingly. So I'll be having a closing square bracket and parenthesis. Okay, by using this I can create a dictionary. Okay, so rather than giving it in the syntax of key colon and then the value, I can also give it in terms of tuple like this, 1 comma and all this. This is also possible, a very valid method of creating a dictionary. Okay, fine. So just print the. Let me save this and execute and show the output to you. Okay, so you can see that this is my empty dictionary created, and this is by using the dict method. So a dictionary is created, and then this is by giving a tuple with a key value pair. You can see that the dictionary is associated with the curly braces over here. So this is an identification for the dictionary, and the dictionary will be having a combination. It's a combo pair, wherein the first one will be the key, and the second one will be the value. Okay, so this is a key value pair. And let me show you the other operations of the dictionary. So this is what we have done. We have created the dictionary. Now let us try to create a dictionary. So those are all what I have demonstrated are all the ways of creating a dictionary. Now let us see how to create a dictionary with integer keys. So here all are integer keys. So I can say 1 is 2 and Sudha, and then I'm saying 2. So here the keys are integers. Okay, and I can also have an integer and integer combination. So I can say 3 is to 5, totally valid. Okay, so when you print, it will be something like this. Okay, so here you have kept all the keys to be integers. In the similar way, you can also have strings also inside your dictionary as the key. Okay, so I can say rather than putting this as 1, I can also say name. Okay, wherein the key is it's a mixed combination now. So the key is a string. Here the key is a integer, and here the key is integer. So this kind of mixed combination is also possible. So you can see that I have the dictionary totally valid, and it's not giving me any error. Okay, so this kind of combination of mixed keys data types is also possible. So let us see another way wherein the value is a list over here. Okay, so say into the key is 2 and the value is a list over here. So you can, this is also totally valid in Python. Okay, so here for the key value 2, the associated value is a list over here. In the similar way, you can also have a tuple also totally valid. Okay, so the key and the value can be anything. So if I just print, you'll be getting here. Here the key is a string and the other key is an integer, and the values are of any data type. It is a string, or it can be a tuple, or it can be a list, or it can be an integer, or it can be a string itself. Okay. So these are regarding how you, what are the key value pairs that are permissible in the dictionary. Now let us see how to create nested dictionaries. To create the nested dictionaries means that one dictionary inside another dictionary in the value pair. Okay, right. So first I'm saying 1 and then Sudha. So this is the first key value pair. After this comma, I need to give the second key value pair. So I said 2, and now I can actually give a dictionary in as a value for the 2 key value. Okay, I can give a dictionary over here. I can say 1 is 2, and then CSE, and so then I'm saying 2 is 2, then some value, okay, 45, and so this is possible, and it totally possible. And so this is the concept of nested dictionary. When you print it, like it will be something like this. Okay, fine. This is the first key value pair. The key is 1 and value is Sudha. And this is the second key value pair, wherein 2 is the key, and this is a dictionary in itself. The value is a dictionary in itself. This is what is called as nested dictionary. Okay, right. You can also add elements into the dictionary one by one. So I can say the index number that you're going to give here will become the key in the dictionary. Okay, so will become the key in the dictionary. Now, first thing is I'll show you giving a different key. So I said D of 3 is equal to, so then I'll just give some value. Okay, right. Some 67 I gave, and I'm printing the dictionary. So you can see that 3 is added over here. Okay, so it is added. Now 3 has added up into the dictionary because the same key do not exist. Okay, in D I have two keys, 1 and 2. I do not have a key 3, so it has added at the end. Now I'll show you what will happen if I am taking the key which is already existing in the dictionary. So 1 is already existing in the dictionary, so I again have taken 1. Whatever you're giving inside this index value will become the key ending. So I said D of 1, and then let me give 1000. Okay, so now let us check what happened. So what happened is, if the same key exists in the dictionary, it replaces the value. Okay, so Sudha is there previous for the value for the key 1, but when I have added something like this, since the key already exists in the dictionary, the Sudha is replaced with 1000. Okay, so this happens if the key exists. If the key do not exist, then what happens is it will just add the key into the dictionary. If the key exists, then it will replace the old value to the new value that you mentioned. Okay, so this is regarding adding elements into the dictionary one by one. In the similar way, I can also do a addition with a single key. So let me show you that. So I said D of some 4 is equal to, so then I'm saying 100 comma 200 comma 300, and now you can see here that this is where I can add multiple things at the same time also. Okay, so here the key is 4, and I want all these elements to be added as a value to the index 4. So this is what I have done. Okay, right. So this is also possible, and you can do this if you want to add multiple values to a single key. Okay, right. Now let us look into accessing elements using the key. Now if I say dict of 2, okay, so I can simply say dict of d2. Okay, here the name of the dictionary is d, so I'm saying d of 2, so I'll be getting the value of the dictionary. So this is accessing it through the index key value. Okay, so this is not index, this is the key. Dictionaries do not have indexes. Okay, so they'll have the key only. I need to access it based on the key. So here 2 is the key, so I said d of 2. So it is giving the value that is associated with 2 here, yeah, as the output. You can also use the get method. So I can say d dot get of let me give 3. So what it will do is it will extract the value associated with the key value 3. Okay, so the key value is 3, and it will be extracting the associated value of the key 3. Okay, so you can also use these two other methods to access the elements using the key value. You can either use directly like this, or else you can also use a get method like this. Okay, right. In the similar way, I can also say d of 4, so which will just give me the access to this entire thing is the value that is associated with the 4 key value. So everything comes. This is how you access it. Okay, fine. And now let us look into if you want to delete an element from the dictionary, not the entire dictionary. I just want to delete one key value pair. Say, for example, I want to delete only this key value pair from the dictionary. So then I'll be saying del of del and then d, and then I'll be mentioning the key that I want to delete. So I want to delete the key value pair of 3, so that gets deleted. So if I just show you in the output, you can see that 3 do not exist in the dictionary anymore because I just have deleted the element. This is how this is the process. This is the commands that you need to give to delete an element, one element from the dictionary. If you want to delete the entire dictionary, of course, I'll be just saying del of d. So the entire dictionary is deleted, and when I try to access the dictionary, so it will be saying me that there is a name error. Okay, so because the object is removed from the dictionary, from the memory. Now let me show you what is pop operation. So let me create a dictionary. I already have deleted it. Okay, so this is my dictionary. Now I'll be applying the pop operation, and so d dot pop. You cannot simply give a pop. Pop will be taking um, parameter into it, and the parameter will be the key here. Okay, so I have to give the name of the dictionary, and then followed by the method. So this is the method, which is the pop operation, and the pop will be taking the key as an attribute, okay, as an parameter. So if I say 1, okay, so Sudha is popped, and if you just look into the dictionary, this pair do not exist now. Okay, so to remove an element from the dictionary, you can either use the del operation, and followed by the name of the dictionary, and then followed by the key, or else you can also do it by using the pop operation. Okay, right. So that's it, girls. This is all that I have to discuss in your dictionaries program. Is it clear, ma, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me just open your manual, your syllabus. Okay, let me just show you your syllabus. Okay, I hope you can see this document. Okay, so we are done through all this. Okay, so what is your next experiment? Can somebody read it out?
Write a program to create a module by adding a method and import the module in the application.
Okay, so you have to create a module and then import the module in the application. So let us get started. Let me do that for you. Well, okay, visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can do whatever program you want to do. In this, there is no restriction that you have to follow mine. But this is what I have written in your manual. Okay, so nene chesam kada mi manual anta. I only have done it. So it's all my programs inside your manual, which is circulated among everybody. Okay, so not only the CSE B and A, అందరికీ ఇచ్చారు. నేను చేసిన మాన్యువల్ అది. And ఇప్పుడు you needn't it's a general question, right? So what is the question? The question is like they're asking you to write a program to create a module by adding a method and import the module in the application. They didn't mention, the question is not very specific, like what you should be writing in the module and what you should be importing. Here the learning is that you need to know how to create a module and import it. Okay, fine. So what I have done here is, for this I have taken a program and I have created a module. Inside that I'll be having one method which will actually do the find out which is largest among two given numbers. You can also do it for the three numbers, and you can also say like I'm calling the prime to check whether the given number is prime or not. So you can explore it on anything. Okay, so first thing is I am trying to create a file. I hope everybody can see the terminal. Can you see the terminal, girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm creating a module, and the name of the module is, let me say that big. Okay, so I'm creating a module which is called as big.py, and inside this module I'm writing a function. I said def, and then I said large. Okay, which will be taking two arguments, a comma b, and then so here I'll be using my logic to find out which is largest. So if a is greater than b, then I say I'll be returning a. Okay, you can do it however you want. Okay, so you can print it here itself, or uh, you can actually return it to the calling program. Anything is okay, permissible. Okay, fine. So this is what I have inside my big.py. I just have written one method which is large method, and if you want you can write one more method which will do the sum. Okay, sum of a comma b, and then so written a plus b. Okay, so herein I have written two methods. The first method is the large method, and the second method is sum method inside this big.py. That's it. Okay, so I'm saving my file and coming out of it. Okay, so now I have a module which is big.py, and inside my application, so I'm writing one more program. So the program name is ma.py. Okay, so this is my current program. So inside this program I want to use the large method and also the sum method. Okay, so how do I do it? So I need to, since I need the large method and sum method from another module, so I need to use this import uh, keyword. So this import statement will actually bring in the code that module is having into this program. Okay, so what is the name of the module? The name of the module is big. So I said import big. Okay, so now read in the values of a and b from the user. I said int and then input, enter A. Okay, so this is what I'm prompting. I'm getting from the user. I will be prompting the user to enter these values. So herein I'm asking the user to enter the value of B also, and both the data are of integer type. You can take whatever you want. And now in what I'm doing is I am calling the large method. So to do that, what I'm saying is I said L is equal to, so I'm calling the function. Why did I said L is equal to is because the method inside the function inside big module will return something, because I have written like return A and return B, right? So I have to catch it into a variable, or else I can directly write it in the print statement. Okay, but here I am catching it in a variable which is L. So here in how can I call the method? So the name of the module is big. So big dot large. Okay, so big dot large, and what I need to pass, I'm passing the variables a comma b. Okay, so now after calling that, the largest among a and b, so the biggest, or is the biggest of okay, and I also will be calling the sum method big dot sum, and I'm passing a comma b. Okay, or else I'll be writing it in the print statement directly, because I already have shown you how to catch it in another variable. Let me write it in the print statement. So here itself I'll be calling the big method. So the sum of again a and okay b is okay, then big dot sum a comma b. So that's it, girls. I have written a module. I have imported the module into this particular program. So I'm saving it and quitting it, and then I have come back to the terminal. So here in the terminal, I'm executing my ma.py. Okay, Python 3 ma.py. Okay. So
Ma'am, parenthesis पटले ma'am.
okay. Okay, so I have to read in the value of A, so which is 23, and then for B, I'm giving 56. So you can see the biggest of 23 and 56 is 56, and the sum of 23 and 56 is 79. Okay, so that's it. That's the end of your seventh experiment. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, here the learning is like how to create a module, and what are the keywords that you will be using to import it into another application, and how do you actually access the methods in the module, right? So let us move on to our next experiment, which is the eighth experiment. What is your eighth experiment? Your eighth experiment is to create user-defined exception, and how do you handle the exception in the application? Um, Can somebody tell me? I have written this program in your class, right? In the previous, when I was discussing the fifth unit in the class, I have written the program for creating the user-defined exception. Can somebody tell me the program? What is the program that I have written? Yes, you forgot. You
Using
forgot so
class.
fast. Huh? Okay, fine. Let me show you a program wherein I'm creating a user-defined exception. So let me name this program as my except.py. So herein I'll be creating my exception. So I created a class which is my exception. So I'm not the built-in exceptions are name error, type error, and all these are the built-in exceptions. I don't want them. I want to create a new exception for a specific in a specific application for specific reason. I want an exception. So for that, this is the procedure of creating a my own exception. So your user define exception. So I'll be writing it like this. So I have to create a class, and the name of the class will be the name of the exception that you want to create. So I want to create an exception which is my exception. So this is the name of the exception that I want to create. And the class of the user defined exception should be a subclass of exception. So the superclass should be exception class. Exception class is already there in your Python. So in here, I'm giving a init method. So inside the init method, the first argument is self, and the second argument is the message that you want to print on the screen, and the third one is the code. Okay, so if you want a code, you can take it. Okay, else you can just ignore it, but I just wanted to show you in this manner. So I need to actually initialize message and code. So I have to say self dot message is equal to message, and then self dot code is equal to code. Okay, so this is what I have done in the init method. That's it. I just have a class. I have created my exception. This is the user defined exception. The name of the exception, it can be anything, and the name of the exception can be anything, and it can be age exception. That's what I have told you when I was discussing the 5th unit in the previous classes. Okay, I have created a user defined exception for the age. I hope you remember that. So after coming out of the class, so this is my try block. Inside the try block, I am deliberately raising an exception. So raise, and the name of the exception is my exception. Okay, so the name of the exception is my exception. And what is the message that you want to print? I am giving it over here. So I want to say that this is a user defined exception. This is user defined exception. Okay, and then I'm putting a comma, and I'll be giving some error code, whatever you feel like need to be generated for that particular exception. You can give an error code. So I'm giving 100 to be the error code, and that's it. Okay, so since the exception is raised deliberately, I need to have a try block need to follow with an except block, and the except need to have this label of the exception. So the label of the exception is my exception as E. Okay, fine. And now I'll be printing all that I have initialized inside my class, my exception class. Okay, right. So the message is, so what is the message? The message is, so I'll be putting it in this way. So message, okay, the message that the user gets if this exception is raised. So I said E dot message. Okay, in the similar way, I'll be writing a print statement for the code, E dot code. This is the error code, okay, that I want to print. Okay, so that's it. I just have created an user defined exception like this, and by using the raise, I have called the user defined exception, deliberately raised an user defined exception, and this is how I'm catching the exception and printing some message to the user on the screen. So I came out of the gedit. Now I'm in the terminal. So this is how I need to execute the program. So the name of the program is myexcept.py. So you can see that deliberately an exception is raised, and this is user defined exception is the message I have typed in there, and the message I got, and the code is 100. Okay. So this is how you create an user defined exception. You can also make changes to this. Okay, for example, in the previous class, what I have done is I have created an age exception. If you have remembered it, so I have created an age exception, and herein what I did is I just have taken the age, and then I have initialized the age over here. And if you want, you can keep the error code, else you can ignore it also. Okay, right. So before this try, what I did is I have asked the user to enter the age. So the user will be entering the age by using this prompt message like enter age and all that. So this will be prompted on the user screen, and the user will be entering age. After the user enters the age, okay, so check whether the age is greater than or equal to 18. If the age is greater than or equal to 18, what I'm saying is I say like you are eligible, okay, to vote. You are eligible to vote, and do the rest of the processing. Okay, eligible to vote. If the age, for example, is this is I have shown you this program. I'm doing it once again. So in the else part, what I'm doing is I'll be raising an exception. Okay, so what is the exception that I'm raising? I'm raising the age exception. Here the name of the exception is age exception. So age exception will be raised, and the first thing that I am passing into this particular init method is the age. So the second thing is the error code. Error code can be anything. It can be minus 234 or whatever. And then so the exception is raised, and after the exception is raised, I need to catch it. Okay, after catching it, I'm just printing it. Okay, right. So this is another program wherein I created a user-defined exception. The exception will be raised if the user's age is less than 18. Okay, right. Let me execute this and show it to you.
Ma'am, print statement message.
Ma'am, print the
Print
message, ma'am,
statement
please.
message.
Okay,
Have
okay,
to change.
right. Yeah, it should be e dot age.
Ma'am,
Okay.
my age exception.
Age exception.
This is also age exception.
Except for ma'am, age exception, ma'am.
Yeah, right. Okay, so the name of the exception is age exception. So you just need to do all that. Okay, right. Now it's okay. So let us now run this. Okay, so I'm giving 19. So it's saying you're eligible to vote. Let us check for the other one. Okay, I gave 1. So it is saying that 1 and some code it is displaying. If you want it to be more readable, you can say that you can write that over here saying that you're not eligible to vote. You're not eligible, okay, to vote, okay, as your age is, okay, fine. So you can do that as your age is. So this is you can also say that this is the error code. Okay, so there will be predefined error codes. You cannot give whatever you want as the error code, Sunday, but I'm just showing you that you can give like this. You permissible user defined error codes untai. You just have to give that if you're really working on an application. Okay, fine. So I'm giving the age to be 12. So you can see that it's giving me a message saying that you're not eligible to vote as your age is 12. And then the error code is minus 234. Okay, right. Sometimes you need to pass the error code to something else, to another application rather than passing the text. In that situations, the error code will help you. Okay. For example, if you're working in your Google and you want a website, sometimes you will get a page not found error code. Okay, so that those are certain error codes which will be saying that page not found 404 and all that. So those are called as an error codes which will be there for user defined error codes will be separated, and they'll say like from this range and this range, you can give it as an error codes for your applications. But some will be system error codes. The system error codes, you cannot use it in your applications. Okay, right. You can also ignore that if you want to. Like you can just take off this code and then simply have age, and then you can do it also. I want to be more specific, so I just have given it that way. Okay, so okay, init is taking 2 arguments. Okay, so here also I need to remove it. Okay, so now it will work for you. So it will just say that you're not eligible to vote other than the error codes. So this is all about your 8th exercise, Ma. So I think I'm clear on this, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So your next, what is your next experiment?
Classes and objects, ma'am.
Okay, write a program to demonstrate how to create classes and objects in an application. Okay, fine. So I'll do that also for you. Let me show the program. Because I feel this is important, because you need to know, like there will be students like who don't even know what are the experiments in their lab cycle. So I make it a point that the student reads out the experiment for me. Somebody read out the first experiment.
Write a program to demonstrate different representations of numbers in Python.
Okay, is it over?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, somebody else do it. Read out the second experiment.
Write a program to perform different complex arithmetic operations on numbers in Python.
Is it over?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Have you practiced it, girls? Why there is a silence? Great silence now. Okay. Will you practice at least today?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your third experiment?
Develop programs to demonstrate decision making and looping structures in Python.
Okay. Have you seen that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. The next experiment. Anyone else? Those who have already read, do not read it. I want the other girls also to read it. Anyone
Write
else?
a
Program to demonstrate working with loops in Python.
Okay. Good. Next.
Write a program to demonstrate working with tuples in Python.
Good. Next.
Write a program to demonstrate working with dictionaries in Python.
Good. Next.
Write a program to create a module by adding a method and import the module in the application.
Okay. Next.
Write a program to create user-defined exception and handle the exception in the application.
Okay. So how many experiments are over?
8.
8 are over. Okay. So now we'll look into the next experiment. Somebody read out the 9th one for me.
Write a program to demonstrate how to create classes and objects in application.
Okay. So we are just going to see how to create classes and objects in the application. So let me get back to the terminal and demonstrate that to you. I hope the terminal is visible to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now let us create a class. So the syntax of creating a class. Okay, let me get to the editor. So gedit, and I'll give my file name as cla.py. So this is the name of the file CLA, and which is with .py extension. So I need to create the class. To create the class, the keyword is class, and then followed by the name of the class. And the name of the class is A. It can be anything, or you can simply ignore this parentheses, simply put a colon. The parentheses are used to mention like what is the super class. If it is an individual class without any super class, then you can simply have a colon, or else even if you put parentheses without nothing in it and a colon, this is totally valid. Okay, right, any of the cases is acceptable. And next, inside the class, so I'm creating a class variable, class level variable. So I'm creating it by saying class underscore var. Why I have given class underscore var is so that you will be able to process it easily. So I have made it 0. I have initialized the class variable to be 0. So now I am giving my constructor. So the constructor is the init method, so which will have def keyword before it, and then followed by the init name of the method, which is init method, and which is a dunder method. And inside the init method, so the parameters that get into the init method are, first one is the self, and followed by an instance variable, and the name of the instance variable is v. I can also say a, b, c, x, whatever it is. It should be a valid identifier. That's it. Okay, right. So inside the init method, so inside the init method, I am actually incrementing the class variable. So how do I access the class variable? The class variable will be accessed by the class name. So A is the class name. So I have given A dot, the name of the class variable is class underscore var. And what I'm doing is I'm incrementing this. Okay, so how I increment it, you do not have this increment plus plus and minus minus in Python. So you just have to do that I is equal to I plus 1. That's the only way to actually increment. So that's what I'm doing over here. So I'm just incrementing the class variable. So what is the purpose of incrementing the class variable here is that I'm counting the number of objects. Okay, so because as soon as an object is created, the init method is called. So automatically the init method executes. So inside the init method, I'm counting the number of objects. Okay, so this will be the right place to count the number of objects. And I also am initializing the instance variable. The instance variable need to be initialized in this manner. So I'm saying self.v is equal to v. So as you can see that a class variable is declared at this particular position, and instance variable is declared at this particular position. Okay, so right. And what I'm doing is you can also have a display method which will actually display the instance variable for you. So which will be taking a self over here, and then inside the display method, so this is an instance method which will be just displaying the instance variable. Okay, so the value of v, v is self dot v. Okay, so I'm just displaying the value of v, and that's what I'm doing over here. If you want, you can also print the number of objects by in the display itself. Okay, so the number of objects are created so far. Okay, right, are and comma a dot class underscore var. Okay, so this is the name of the variable. That's it, girls. This is what I have in the class A. The learning here is like how you have to create a class. So this is the syntax of how you create a class. Class is the keyword followed by the name of the class. Here the name of the class is A. This parenthesis option is optional because you do not have a super class, and followed by a colon, and then this line over here is the place reserved for the class level variables. So class var is the class level variable, and which I have initialized it to 0. and then this is your constructor, so which is a dunder init method. This init method, the first argument into the init method will be a self, and then followed by the arguments that pass into it. So here the formal argument, there is only one argument here, which is v, and v is a instance variable where class underscore var is the class level variable. Okay, fine. And then I do also have a display method which will actually display the variable for me and also the class level variable for me, right? So if you want to, you can also add many things into the class, but I'm just keeping the class to be simple. Okay, right. So what are there in the class? There is a constructor, there is a class variable, there is an instance variable, and an instance method. 4 things are there in the class. Okay, a class variable, an instance variable, the constructor of the class, and an instance method. Display is an instance method. So all this we have. Now I have come out of the indentation from the class, and herein I'll be creating the objects. So what is your program? It is to demonstrate how to create classes and objects in the application. So I have created a class for you, and I'll also create another class for you, but as of now just look into the one class, because here it says in the question how to create classes and objects in the application. So I'll be creating 2 classes in the same application. First I have created one class, and let me show you how to create an object. So this is how I'm creating an object. So obj1 is the name of the object. It can be any valid identifier. It can be x or y or whatever it is, it can be. But generally for object, it's a general programming habit that we generally make it obj. Okay, right. So now I'm calling the constructor. How do you call the init method? So class name followed by parentheses and the arguments into it will internally call the init method. So init method is taking one argument, which is v. So I just need to pass the value of v. So I have given 11 into it. So now here what happens is for obj1, for v value is set to 11. Okay, so init method is automatically called. You will not be knowing it, but you will know it when you call the display method. When you call the display method, you will be knowing it that init method is internally called. Okay, or else you can put a print statement there which will print on the output that init method is called inside init or whatever you can write. Okay, so now I am accessing the method which is obj.display. So this method will actually print the things for you on the screen. Okay, so now let me save this and show you this partial program. So this is not the entire program. This is a partial program. I'll be continuing with the rest of the portion, but I just wanted you to understand till here, okay, before proceeding further. So you can see that the value of v is 11, and the number of objects created are 1, because I just have one obj. So the number of objects are created are 1. Okay, it keeps on incrementing as you create the objects. You can also access the these 2 variables from outside the class also. How to access them? Let me show you that. Okay, so the value of v is here. I cannot give a self. I have to give obj1. And this is a dot class variable. Of course, it is okay. So you can see that I can also access the instance variable and the class variable from outside the class also, other than like inside the display method. Okay, fine. So this is regarding the class. Let me create one more object of a class and show you how the count of number of objects keep increasing. So a of then this is 20. Okay, fine. I have created one more object, and let me create one more object and show you the class variable which keeps on incrementing for the values. Okay, fine. Now let me call the display method. So obj3 dot display, and Okay, let me save and execute this for you. Okay, so you can see that the number of objects are 3. Okay, so this class variable keeps on, it's common to all the objects, it keeps on incrementing. Okay, fine. The instance variables are individual to the objects, but the class variable is common to all the objects. Fine. So because I have created 3 objects, obj1, obj2 and obj3, so the count of this class variable is 3. Right. So this is wherein I have created a class and different objects of that particular class. Now let me create one more class over here and show you. Okay. In the same application, I'm creating one more class. So this class is, so I'm saying even and odd class. Let me put a colon, okay, this time, because in the previous case, I have shown you that syntax. Now I'll show you different syntax. Okay, fine. So inside this, I'm having one variable which is even. Even is equal to 0. So this is the class variable. And then I'm having a function which is a find function. Okay. And this find function will actually work for the check method. So let me write the check method. I have explained this in your class if you remember, girls. I have explained this program inside your when I was discussing in your class, in your regular classes. I have explained you this program. Okay, so I have self dot num. Okay, and so inside this, what I'll do is I'll call the find method. So how do I call the find method? I call the find method by saying self dot find, and I'll pass this number into it. Okay, and if okay, if self dot even is equal to 1, I'll say print even. Okay, so this is the check method. So I do have one more method, find method rayal kada. Okay, so I have def find. So find is taking the num into it. So it will be having self comma num or anything. Okay, and so inside find we are doing the operation which is n modulus 2. If it is equal to 0, okay, I'm saying self dot even is equal to 1. I'm setting the value of that to be 1. Okay, right. So that's it we are doing. Okay, let me come out of this program. So I hope you understood what we are doing here. So I have a variable here which is even. So initially we are setting the value to be 0. Okay, so if the number is odd, okay, so if it is I need to set it to 1. Okay, right. So if it is 1, I am saying it is even. If it is odd, I am setting it to 0. Okay, fine, girls. I hope you understood this. Did you understand or not? So I have two methods inside this class. The first method is a find method and the second method is the check method. So the name of the class is even and odd, and I'm having a variable over here which is even. Initially I have set the variable to be 0. You can also say that it is a flag. Okay, fine. So I'll be calling the check method by passing a number into it. So after passing it, what I'll do is I'll call the find method. So the find method is called now with the value. Say for example, I'm giving 20 or whatever. So 20 comes over here into this check method, into this number, and the find method is called on 20. Okay. So now n is taking 20 here. So 20 mod 2 is equal to 0. So when it is equal to 0, I am setting the value to 1. So here this method returns and the control comes back to the if method over here, if condition over here. And if self dot even is equal to 1, so then it is saying that it is even, else it will print odd. I'm not changing anything. Okay, so if even stays as 0, if this even number stays as 0, then it is considered to be odd, or else you can also make it as a flag. And let me say that it is a flag. So I'm keeping it as a flag. Okay, so if self dot not to confuse you, okay, I hope it is now clear. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, so now let us create object of this particular class and call the methods. O1 is equal to, so I'm creating an object. O1 is equal to the name of the class. So the name of the class is even underscore odd. I'm just calling this, creating an object. So O1 is created. So now O1 dot, so I'm calling the check method, okay, with the specific value. Okay, I want to check whether 12 is even or not. So I'm just calling it on 12. Again, I'll call on another number, so which is 7. Okay, so which is an odd number, right? So let me execute this and show you. Okay, so you can see that okay, fine. We'll do it this way. Okay, fine. Okay. Well, girls, so you can see that it is even and then odd. 12 is even and 7 is odd. Clear, ma? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So this is how actually you create multiple classes in the same application. So this is one doubt that the students will be having, that can we create multiple classes in a program? Yes, of course you can create multiple classes and multiple objects in the same application. Okay, fine. So that's the end of your 9th experiment. Okay, what is your 10th experiment? Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am. Demonstrate the use of NumPy arrays in Python.
Okay, demonstrate the use of NumPy arrays in Python. Okay, I think I'll continue that in the next class. Okay. So I hope these experiments are clear to you.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay, I just have an announcement to be made. So let me stop recording and then I'll make an announcement.